wanted to share some experiences I've had lately with you. I saw an interesting film a couple of weeks ago called Proteus. Proteus, in Greek mythology, is an early sea god. And during the 19th century, the sea was regarded as a frontier of sorts, as not much was known of its depth or its inhabitants. Now, the main figure of Proteus is a biologist, an artist named Ernst Haeckel. As a young man, Haeckel was torn between science and art, materialism and religion, and inner and outer worlds. The resolution of these conflicts was found through his discoveries beneath the sea. Now today, there aren't all that many new frontiers. Granted, we know much more about the sea now than we did then, but there's also a lot that we don't know. New frontiers are more abstract. Fields such as genetics, the human genome, quantum physics, and last but not least, consciousness are some of our new frontiers. Consciousness is not necessarily a new frontier, as monks and spiritual people, native peoples, they've been plumbing its depths for centuries. However, in our modern age, we see an awakening. The signs of consciousness exploration are all around us. From time to time, we'll see discoveries about the brain and thought and how meditation affects the brain. But there's not a lot that's concretely known about it. You know, how is consciousness to be scientifically measured? Who's going to pay for the studies? How will the studies be conducted? How is consciousness defined, at least, you know, from a scientific perspective? Now, the frontier that I'd like to talk about is garbage and how it relates to consciousness. I think it could be said that our level of consciousness correlates to our treatment of garbage. I'm going to guess that some of you had a sort of an interesting response right now. You're probably thinking, why are we talking about garbage? Garbage, really? But I'm actually hoping that you had such a response, because I really want you to see and experience firsthand a type of dualistic thinking that humans are pretty guilty of. We think of garbage as unpleasant, barely registering on the radar screen of our lives. We all create it, but how many of us give much thought to garbage, much less the impact on our environment? It's this dismissive thought process that gets us into a whole world of trouble. And the fact that we have that very word is very, very telling. This is a concept that exists only in the world of humans. In nature, there is no such thing. Everything becomes something else. Decaying organic matter becomes nutrition for worms, which eventually excrete it, making the soil rich in nutrients, promoting the growth of plants, plants that give us vital nutrition and oxygen, and so on and so forth. We can't live without plants. Now, in nature, no life is lived for nothing or for no purpose. Just to give you a sense of how much we discard, from 2004 to 2005, the city of New York conducted a study called the New York City 2004-2005 Residential and Street Basket Waste Characterization Study. This took a comprehensive look at the amount and composition of what New Yorkers discarded at home and in street baskets. It revealed a whole lot of things, but one being that New Yorkers generate a curbside waste stream that averages over 64,000 tons a week. So it's a lot of trash. Now, looking at some national statistics on waste, just waste. On average, households waste 14% of their food purchases. 15% of that includes products still within their expiration date but never opened. An average family of 4 currently tosses out $590 per year just in meat, fruits, vegetables, and grain products. Nationwide, household food waste alone adds up to $43 billion, making it a very serious economic problem. It is estimated that reducing food waste by half could reduce adverse environmental impacts by 25% through reduced landfill use, reduced soil depletion, and reduced applications of fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides. 40 to 50% of all food ready for harvest never even gets eaten. Are there not starving people in this world? Does that statistic sound a little funky to you? It should. Yard trimmings and food residuals together constitute 26% of U.S. municipal solid waste stream. That is a lot of waste to send to landfills when it could become useful and environmentally beneficial compost instead. These, to me, are mind-blowing statistics in light of the fact that every 2.3 seconds a child dies from malnutrition. We live in a world where there are 800 million hungry and 1 billion obese. Sound a little out of balance to you? I think so. Now, there is no waste in nature because we neither create nor destroy any measurable amount of matter. This is the law of conservation of matter. In any physical or chemical change, matter is neither created nor destroyed, but merely changed from one form to another. When you throw something away, there is no away. It's a false thought that we have. Everything we have ever thrown away is still here with us in one form or another. Are we not part of nature? It's kind of hard to remember that. We're here in a city full of concrete, vehicular noise. I mean, there's some birds, but really what we hear more are car horns and engines, but we are. But let's talk about stuff. The stuff we interact with in the course of a day and discard, maybe your Starbucks coffee cup, paper, you name it. But I want you to think about the purpose that this stuff served in your life and where it goes when it breaks or when it's used up but there's nothing left but packaging or the parts of food that go uneaten like pits, shells, bones. What is your relationship to it? Have you ever even thought about that? We're like young children who are at the stage where they believe that, they can't see you when they hide behind their hands, and you can't see them either. And just because we have thrown away the detritus of life into the dustbin doesn't mean it vanishes, as we know from the law of conservation of matter. Everything that was ever created is still here on Earth. Now, looking at the composition of stuff from a more spiritual perspective, we can say that it was once a sentient being. One of the key ingredients in plastics is petroleum, which was once dinosaurs. Paper was once a tree. Glass was once rocks and seashells, and perhaps aluminum was once part of a meteor shooting through the sky. And then, of course, there is water, on which all life depends. Should we not honor and have gratitude for all this stuff that has made our life easier? Don't all living beings contain energy? Is it not that energy that gives matter life? If energy can neither be created nor destroyed, first law of thermodynamics, do not the things we discard contain some modicum of the life force that created it? Our trash may be discarded, but it isn't hidden. We see litter on the streets, especially in my neighborhood, on the subway tracks, on the sides of roads, on the beach, wherever. We can even see the discarded junk of our lives from space. Yes, it is visible from space. There's this trash island about 1,000 miles west of California. It's called the South Pacific Gyre, and it's huge. There are varying estimates of its size, but it's at least twice the size of Texas. and it's just garbage spinning in the ocean. Gyres are these enormous rotating currents. They act as a vortex, and they'll suck in floating debris. And unfortunately, most of what ends up there is plastic. And what they're finding out about plastic is plastic, among its many other qualities, also acts as a sponge. And it absorbs all the toxic chemicals that don't dissolve, the most harmful chemicals. And as you'll see, it has some dire and grave consequences for life on this planet. Cigarette butts are the single most littered item in America, and I can attest to this.